The stormy night wrapped the countryside in silence. Inside the creaking wooden house, Emma climbed the narrow attic stairs with a candle in hand. Dust clung to every corner, old trunks lay forgotten, and cobwebs swayed like ghosts of time. She was searching for blankets to fight the cold, nothing more. But fate often hides its treasures in unexpected places. Her eyes fell on a small wooden box, tucked away beneath faded quilts. It looked fragile, as though it had been waiting for someone to open it after decades of silence. She brushed the dust away, revealing a rusted lock that crumbled at her touch. Inside lay forgotten keepsakes, dried flowers, a silver locket with initials engraved, and at the very bottom, a sealed envelope. The handwriting was delicate, almost trembling, as though written with urgency and love. To my dearest Lily, the name sent a shiver down Emma's spine. It was her grandmother's name, Lily, the woman who had raised her with warmth but rarely spoke of her own past. Emma's hand shook as she held the envelope. It had never been opened. She sat in her grandmother's old rocking chair by the window, staring at the envelope under the flickering candlelight. Questions swirled. Why was it hidden? Who had written it? Why had it never been read? With trembling fingers, she slid the letter open. The sound of tearing paper felt like the echo of history itself. The letter's ink had faded, but its words carried a depth that time could not erase. My love, I write these words as the world around me burns. Tomorrow I march to war, and I do not know if I will ever hold you again. But I carry your smile in my heart, and that will be my strength. Emma's throat tightened. The writer was a soldier, his voice full of longing and fear. His words painted a picture of love so pure that even war could not darken it. He spoke of promises, to return, to build a life together, to never let go. Yet, woven between the promises was the shadow of uncertainty. Emma paused, pressing the letter against her chest. She realized this was not just any soldier, it was Daniel, the young man her grandmother had once known. A photograph Emma had seen years ago flashed in her memory, her grandmother, young and radiant, standing beside a man in uniform. She had never asked about him, assuming it was a distant friend. Now she knew he was far more than that. The attic felt colder as Emma imagined her grandmother Lily waiting for this letter, waiting for answers that never came. Why had it been hidden? Why had her grandmother never opened it? Tears welled in her eyes as she continued reading, each line pulling her deeper into the pain and passion of a love story lost to time. The days that followed, Emma found herself unable to rest. The letter haunted her, its words echoing in her mind like whispers in the dark. She began searching every corner of the house for more clues. Old photo albums, diaries, newspaper clippings, anything that could tell her what happened to Daniel. In one box, she found a photograph of Lily and Daniel at a town fair. Their eyes locked on each other, laughter frozen in time. In another, a pressed flower with the initials L and D carefully written beside it. These discoveries made Emma ache with both sadness and admiration. Her grandmother had lived an entire life, married, raised children, smiled through hardships, yet behind it all, there had been a hidden chapter she had never shared. Emma's curiosity turned into a mission. She visited the local library, poring over old town records and war archives. Each page carried fragments of Daniel's life, enlistment papers, a unit roster, even a grainy photograph of soldiers marching to the front lines. One night, as Emma sat by the fire reading, she whispered, "Grandma, why didn't you ever tell me? Why keep this love locked away?" But the silence of the house gave no answer, only the creak of the floorboards and the distant howl of the wind. Her search finally led her to a discovery she hadn't expected. In the town's war archives, she found a document, a hospital record from years after the war had ended. It bore his name, Daniel Whitmore. He had survived. Emma's heart pounded as she read the details. Severe injuries, loss of memory, long recovery. Could it be that Daniel had lived all these years, not knowing how to return? Perhaps he had written the letter before battle but had been unable to send it in time. Perhaps the war had stolen not only his health but also his memories. The thought crushed Emma. Two hearts had been separated, not by choice, but by fate. She imagined her grandmother Lily waiting by the window, day after day, praying for Daniel's return. She imagined Daniel, lost and broken, searching for the woman he loved but unable to find her. And between them lay a letter forgotten in the attic, silenced by time. Emma wept quietly, clutching the letter in her hands. She realized this wasn't just a forgotten story, it was unfinished. Determined to give peace to their love, Emma traced Daniel's life after the war. Her search led her to his grave, a simple stone in the town cemetery. The inscription read, "Daniel Whitmore, beloved son, faithful soldier." There were no mentions of Lily, no signs of the love he had carried in his heart. Yet Emma knew. Kneeling by the grave, she unfolded the letter and began to read aloud. Her voice trembled as the words filled the quiet air. "My love, I write to you with a heavy heart." She read until her tears blurred the page, until every word Daniel had written was carried by the wind. When she finished, she pressed her hand against the cold stone and whispered, "She never forgot you, Daniel. And neither will I." A soft breeze rustled through the trees, brushing her cheek like a tender touch. For a moment, Emma felt as if two souls, Lily and Daniel, had reunited in the silence of that place. Back at the house, Emma carefully placed the letter, the photograph, and the locket back into the wooden box. But this time, she didn't hide it in the attic. Instead, she placed it on the mantel, where every visitor could see. It was no longer a secret to be buried, it was a story to be remembered. As she lit a candle by the box, Emma whispered, "Your love wasn't forgotten. It lives here, in every word, in every memory, in me." That night, Emma stood by the window where her grandmother once sat, gazing at the stars. They seemed brighter, almost alive, as though the heavens themselves were celebrating a love finally acknowledged. With tears streaming down her face, she whispered into the night, "Some letters may remain unopened, but true love never fades. It survives time, silence, and even death." And in that moment, Emma knew the forgotten letter was never truly forgotten. It had simply been waiting for the right hands to bring it back to life.